The stars stretched endlessly above the human ship in trepid dawn, sparkling like scattered jewels across the black canvas of space. Commander Elias Kane stood on the observation deck, watching the alien world slowly grow larger on the view screen. It was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. A planet of swirling emerald forests, glittering crystal lakes, and cities that seemed to float above the ground, glowing faintly with colors humans had no names for. "Approaching orbit," said Lieutenant Mara Chen, her voice steady but filled with awe. "Sensors show a highly developed civilization. Energy readings are off the charts." Elias nodded, his mind racing. Humanity had spent decades exploring the galaxy, but the legend of the planet Velora had always been surrounded by mystery. Stories spoke of an empress who ruled not only with intelligence but with powers that some considered almost magical. Now they were about to meet her. "Prepare the landing team," Elias ordered. "We are ambassadors, not invaders. Remember that." As the landing shuttle descended through the planet's atmosphere, the crew marveled at the beauty below. Towering structures spiraled toward the sky like crystalline trees, and strange floating vehicles moved gracefully between them. On the ground, beings unlike any humans had seen walked the streets. They were tall, slender, and covered in iridescent skin that shimmered in the sunlight. Their eyes were large, intelligent, and slightly luminescent, giving them an aura of authority. The shuttle touched down in a massive open courtyard surrounded by golden towers. The air smelled clean and sharp, with a faint metallic tang that suggested advanced technology. A hush fell over the humans as a figure approached from the center of the courtyard. She moved with elegance and confidence, and even from a distance Elias could feel the weight of her presence. The Empress. She was taller than any human, with skin that gleamed like polished bronze. Her long, flowing robes shimmered with patterns that seemed to move as if alive. Her eyes were deep and commanding, yet they held a flicker of curiosity as she regarded the humans. "Welcome, visitors from the stars," she said in a voice that was calm but carried authority. Every word seemed to vibrate with energy, resonating in the minds of all who heard it. "I am Empress Celira of Velora. You honor us with your presence." Elias stepped forward, bowing slightly as a sign of respect. "Empress Celira, we come in peace. I am Commander Elias Kane, and this is my crew. Humanity seeks knowledge and friendship. We hope to learn from your civilization and share our own experiences." The Empress's gaze swept across the human crew, lingering for a moment on Lieutenant Chen, then moving to Captain Arlen, the engineer, and finally to Elias himself. Then her eyes widened slightly and she staggered back, gripping the edge of a floating pedestal for support. "That mark," she whispered, her voice almost a hiss. "It belongs to a legend." Elias frowned. "I'm sorry, Your Majesty, I don't understand." "What mark?" The Empress did not answer immediately. She stared at him, her glowing eyes sharp and piercing. Slowly she reached out with a slender hand, almost trembling, and pointed at the emblem etched onto Elias's armor. A small, intricate symbol of a human hand holding a star, which had been the emblem of his unit for years. You bear the mark of Calaris," she said, her voice trembling now with a mixture of awe and fear. "The hero, the one who was said to save the galaxy centuries ago." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard the stories of Calaris, a legendary figure whose deeds had become myths among both humans and aliens. But the mark? That was supposed to be a long-lost symbol, never seen in living memory. I don't know what you mean," Elias said carefully. "This is just my unit's emblem." The Empress shook her head. "No, it is more than a symbol. It is a legacy. Whoever bears this mark carries the bloodline or the spirit of the hero. I have waited for centuries, and now—" Her voice faltered as she looked around the courtyard, suddenly aware of the attention of her people. "Now it seems the prophecy may be awakening." The courtyard fell silent. Humans and aliens alike could feel the weight of her words. Something ancient, powerful, and unknown was stirring. Lieutenant Chen stepped forward cautiously. "Your Majesty, what kind of threat are we talking about?" Celira's eyes darted around and she motioned for the humans to follow her. "Come with me," she said. "There is much you do not know. Time is short. We must speak in private." The humans followed her through golden halls that seemed alive with energy. Walls shifted subtly as if reacting to their presence, and floating lights illuminated the corridors without any visible source. Finally, they arrived in a grand chamber, circular in shape, with a high-domed ceiling that displayed the constellations in real time. At the center of the room, a large holographic table projected star systems and planets. Celira gestured for the humans to approach. "The mark you bear," she said, "is the sign of Kalaris, the legendary hero who once defeated the Voidborn." Elias frowned. "Voidborn?" "They were an ancient alien menace," Celira explained. "They sought to conquer the galaxy, consuming worlds and civilizations. Kalaris rose to unite humans and aliens alike against them. Using courage, strategy, and powers that even I cannot fully understand, Kalaris defeated the Voidborn. It is said that Kalaris' spirit would return in the form of the Marked One when the galaxy faced danger again." Elias felt a mixture of disbelief and awe. "You mean, you think it could be me?" Celira's eyes softened slightly. "Perhaps. Or perhaps one among your people carries the legacy. But the mark is not just a symbol. It awakens abilities, intuition, and strength beyond ordinary limits. You must be cautious. Many will seek to exploit this power, and enemies from long ago may have returned." The humans exchanged uneasy glances. The stories of legends were one thing. Facing them in reality was another. Captain Arlen whispered to Elias, "So we're supposed to be heroes now? Just because of a symbol?" Elias gave a tight smile. "It seems we don't have a choice. If the Empress is right, we are part of something much larger than ourselves." Celira nodded. "You must rest and prepare. Tonight I will show you the archives. You will learn the history of Kalaris and perhaps begin to understand the destiny you may inherit. But be warned, time is short, and danger is coming faster than any of us anticipated." That night, Elias could not sleep. In the quiet of his cabin, he traced the emblem on his armor, trying to imagine how a long-lost legend could connect to him. The room was dim, but he felt a warmth, almost a pulse, as if the mark itself recognized his touch. A strange energy stirred within him, subtle but undeniable. Outside, the city of Velora shimmered under the twin moons, and shadows moved in ways that suggested eyes were watching from unseen places. Somewhere in the galaxy, forces that had been dormant for centuries were awakening, and now, humans were part of a story older than any of them had imagined. By morning, the humans were summoned to the archives, a massive structure carved from crystal and metal. Inside, floating holograms and ancient scrolls detailed the wars of the past, the rise of Kalaris, and the battles against the Voidborn. Elias studied each image and description carefully. The hero's courage, ingenuity, and leadership were almost impossible to believe. Yet the evidence was there: the mark, the weapons, and even records of alliances between humans and other species. Lieutenant Chen leaned close to him. "If what she says is true, we might be the galaxy's only hope again." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing on him. He did not feel like a hero. He felt like an ordinary man who had just been thrust into an extraordinary story. But as he looked at the symbol on his armor, he understood something. Even ordinary humans could rise to legends if the situation demanded it. The Empress entered the archives, her presence commanding silence. "Tonight the stars will reveal much," she said. "And tomorrow your journey truly begins. The galaxy is vast and the enemies of the past have returned. You must be ready." Elias met her gaze. "We will be ready, Your Majesty. Humanity will not fail." For the first time, Celira smiled, a mixture of hope and relief in her expression. Then perhaps the legend will live again. Outside the crystal walls, the wind of Velora whispered through the floating towers. The humans stood at the beginning of an adventure that would take them across planets, through dangers untold, and into the very heart of galactic legend. The mark on Elias's armor pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging the truth of what was to come. And somewhere in the shadows, eyes watched, waiting, calculating for the humans who dared to step into a story, older than the stars themselves. The archives of Velora were more magnificent than anything the humans had imagined. Walls of crystal rose high above them, reflecting light in colors that seemed to shift with every step. Holographic projections floated in the air, showing the history of the galaxy in precise, vivid detail. Stars exploded, civilizations rose and fell, and battles that spanned entire systems unfolded before their eyes. Elias Kane walked carefully, his fingers brushing against the edge of a glowing display. "It's an incredible," he whispered. "All of this history. And we're just seeing a part of it." Lieutenant Mara Chen, usually calm and practical, could not hide her awe. And we're connected to it somehow, she said, glancing at the mark on Elias's armor. The Empress said the mark carries the legacy of Kelaris. I wonder, what does that mean exactly? Celira led them deeper into the archives, her long robes whispering against the polished floor. The mark is not simply a symbol, she explained. It is a link to the hero who once united humans and aliens against a threat older than any living being. Kelaris was extraordinary, not because of technology alone, but because of courage, ingenuity, and the ability to inspire others. The mark carries a part of that spirit. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. Spirit? Are you saying it can awaken abilities? Celira nodded. The mark awakens qualities that lie dormant. Some are mental, intuition, strategy, perception. Others are physical, strength, speed, endurance. But the most important is the courage to act when all hope seems lost. Kelaris was human, yes, but also more. And now someone among you may inherit that power. Captain Arlen frowned. Inherit power? That sounds dangerous. What if it's too much for us? Then it is precisely why Kelaris left clues, Celira said. The archives contain guidance, history, and warnings. But the one marked must learn, practice, and understand. Otherwise, the abilities are wasted. Or worse, they could be a target for those who wish to exploit them. The humans followed her to a large chamber filled with holographic maps of planets and stars. In the center floated a golden sphere that pulsed gently with energy. This, Celira said, is the memory sphere. It contains the consciousness and memories of Kelaris. Through it you may learn from the past hero and prepare for the challenges to come. Elias stepped forward, placing his hands near the sphere. A soft light enveloped him, and suddenly his mind was flooded with images. Battles, strategies, alien worlds, and faces of beings he had never seen. He felt knowledge rushing into him, not as words or concepts, but as understanding. He saw Kelaris leading humans and aliens together in perfect harmony, coordinating fleets, inspiring courage, and outsmarting enemies that seemed impossible to defeat. He felt the hero's determination, the pressure of responsibility, and the weight of every choice made in the heat of battle. Elias staggered back slightly. It's overwhelming, he whispered. Celira's voice was gentle. It is meant to be. You will not retain it all at once. You must learn step by step. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Chen and Captain Arlen explored other parts of the archives. Chen discovered records of advanced human technology lost for centuries, while Arlen marveled at alien engineering techniques. If we combine this knowledge, Arlen said, we could strengthen humanity and Velora alike. Chen nodded. But first, we need to survive whatever is coming. The Empress said enemies are returning. Do you think these Voidborn are really back? Celira's eyes darkened. I do not know if they are the exact Voidborn of legend, but forces long thought defeated are stirring again. There are signs, attacks, disappearances, and strange disturbances in the energy fields of nearby systems. Whoever is behind this is powerful, cunning, and patient. They may test the galaxy in ways we cannot yet imagine. Elias listened carefully, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. He had spent his life in exploration and diplomacy. But now he faced something far larger than any mission he had ever undertaken. Then we need to prepare, he said firmly. The mark? Whatever it is, we can't ignore it. If it is a legacy, we need to understand it fully before the enemy finds us. That night, the humans gathered in their quarters to discuss what they had learned. The glow of Velora's twin moons illuminated the room. Arlen leaned back in his chair. So let me get this straight. One of us carries a mark that could turn us into a hero capable of saving the galaxy. And we're supposed to just figure it out? Elias chuckled faintly. Basically. But we won't be alone. The Empress is guiding us, and the archives give us the knowledge we need. We just have to train and stay alert. Chen frowned. I worry about the other aliens. The Empress seems trustworthy. But what if there are factions among her people who don't like humans, or who want to take the power for themselves? Elias nodded. We have to be careful, yes, but fear alone cannot stop us. Kelaris didn't succeed by hiding. He acted. That's what we have to do too. The next morning, Celira summoned the humans again. You must see for yourself the signs of danger, she said. A nearby planet, Arvesa, has reported mysterious attacks. Settlements are being destroyed and ships are disappearing. This may be the first test of the Marked One's awakening. Elias felt a tightening in his chest. The time for study was ending, Action was beginning. "We'll go," he said. "We'll assess the situation and do what we can." The journey to Arvesa was tense. As the shuttle descended through its purple-tinted atmosphere, humans and aliens aboard felt a strange energy, like the planet itself was alive and watching them. Smoke rose from distant settlements and the remnants of destroyed ships floated silently in orbit. Salira's voice echoed through the cabin. "The enemy is cunning. They strike without warning and leave no survivors. You must be vigilant." Elias adjusted his armor, feeling the emblem on his chest pulse faintly. The mark seemed to respond to the energy around them, a subtle signal of awareness. He could not explain it, but a sense of clarity washed over him. He knew he could lead, guide, and fight if necessary. The legacy was stirring within him. On the ground they found the wreckage of settlements and ships. Alien survivors, terrified and disoriented, spoke of shadows moving with unnatural speed and intelligence, striking without warning, and vanishing before anyone could respond. The humans assisted in rescue operations, working alongside the locals to rebuild shelters, provide medical aid, and organize defenses. It was during one of these missions that Elias felt it, the first real manifestation of the legacy. A small group of survivors was trapped under a fallen structure. Normally, it would have taken time to move the heavy debris, but Elias instinctively lifted it with ease, his strength far exceeding his normal limits. He helped the survivors escape, and when they looked at him in astonishment, he realized the mark's power had begun to awaken. Chen noticed immediately. "Elias, did you just—" He shook his head, still catching his breath. "I don't know, it just happened." Salira arrived shortly after, observing with a mixture of pride and concern. "It is beginning. The mark responds to courage, necessity, and action. This is only the start. You must learn control or the power could overwhelm you." As night fell over Arvesa, Elias gazed at the stars. The galaxy seemed larger, more dangerous, and more beautiful than ever before. Somewhere, the forces that had once threatened every civilization were rising again. And now humans were part of the story, no longer distant observers, but active participants in the fate of the galaxy. The legend of Kalaris was awakening, and Elias Kane was at the center of it, but far away, hidden among the shadows of an asteroid belt. Unseen eyes watched the humans, calculating, patient, and waiting. The enemy had returned, and they would not rest until the galaxy and the Marked One were under their control. Elias clenched his fists, feeling the pulse of the mark on his chest. He did not feel like a hero yet. He felt fear, uncertainty, and responsibility. But he also felt determination. Whatever was coming, humanity would not stand aside. They would fight, learn, and survive. And the galaxy would remember the name of the human who bore the mark. The planet Arvesa was quiet, but the calm felt fragile, like a surface of water trembling before a storm. Commander Elias Kane stood atop a hill, looking down at the small settlement that had survived the earlier attacks. Smoke still rose from broken buildings, and the air smelled faintly of burnt metal and ash. The survivors were scared, exhausted, and unsure if they would see another sunrise. Salira floated beside him, her eyes scanning the horizon. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "Whatever attacked here before is returning. You must be ready, Elias. The mark is stirring, but it will demand focus, courage, and control." Elias clenched his fists, feeling the emblem on his armor pulse faintly. The power was awakening inside him, subtle but insistent. "I feel it, Empress," he said. "It's like a part of me is waking up. I don't fully understand it yet, but I know it's meant for action." Salira nodded. "Then action is what we must take. The enemy tests us, but we must show strength. Humans and Valorians together can stand against them." Suddenly the ground shook violently and a low, mechanical roar echoed across the valley. From the forest at the edge of the settlement, strange ships emerged. Dark, angular, moving with terrifying speed. The survivors screamed, scattering in every direction. Shadows detached from the ships, creatures made of strange alloys and energy, moving faster than the eye could track. Elias felt a surge of adrenaline. He did not think, he acted. He ran toward the nearest group of survivors trapped by falling debris, lifting heavy beams effortlessly, his strength far beyond normal human limits. He helped them escape just as one of the shadowy creatures lunged toward them. "Elias!" Chen shouted, firing her energy blaster at one of the attackers. The shot struck the creature, but it barely slowed, its strange armor absorbing most of the energy. Salira raised her hands, focusing her energy. A wave of force erupted from her, pushing the creatures back slightly. Keep them contained. Protect the civilians. Elias felt the mark on his chest warm, almost burning, as if responding to the danger. His instincts sharpened. He could see the creatures' movements before they happened, predict their attacks and strike with precision. With a single motion, he threw a fallen beam like a javelin, hitting a creature that had been closing in on a group of children. It fell in a heap of sparks and shattered metal. Chen looked at him in shock. That was incredible. I'm not sure how I did it, Elias admitted, panting. The mark. It feels like it's guiding me. Celira's eyes glowed faintly. It is. Kalaris' spirit flows through the mark. You are beginning to understand what courage and action truly mean. The fight continued across the settlement. Humans and Valorians worked together seamlessly, protecting civilians, setting traps, and countering the shadowy creatures. Elias moved through the battlefield like a force of nature, his instincts guided by the mark. Each time a creature lunged at a human, he intercepted it. Each time a building threatened to collapse, he prevented it. His mind was clear, his body reacting faster than normal. Despite their efforts, the enemy was relentless. More ships emerged from the forest, releasing waves of creatures, and the humans began to feel the strain. We can't hold them forever, Arlen shouted, fending off a creature with his energy blade. Celira's voice rang out, commanding and calm. Retreat to the energy barriers. The mark will guide him to strength. Elias felt the mark surge again, giving him confidence. He led the survivors and his team toward the energy barriers, focusing on protecting every person. Each step felt instinctive, every movement precise. It was not just strength. It was understanding, strategy, and leadership, the qualities Kalaris had embodied. As they reached the barriers, the enemy creatures hesitated for a moment. The mark on Elias's armor seemed to emit a faint glow, repelling them slightly. He realized that his connection to the mark was more than internal. It influenced the environment around him, affecting energy, objects, and even the behavior of the attackers. Celira floated beside him, her expression a mix of pride and concern. Control, Elias, focus. The mark is powerful, but it must be guided by your will. The enemy made a final, desperate push. One of the shadow creatures leapt over the energy barrier, aiming for Elias. Time seemed to slow. Elias reacted without thinking, catching the creature mid-air and throwing it back with incredible force. Sparks flew, metal bent, and the creature crashed against the ground, defeated. The survivors cheered, but there was no time for celebration. More ships were approaching, and Elias knew this was only the first wave. He looked to Celira. We need a plan. We can't fight like this forever. Celira nodded. Follow me. There is a vantage point from which we can coordinate both humans and Valorians. There you will learn strategy, not just strength. Elias led the group to a high plateau overlooking the valley. From there, the full scale of the enemy's numbers became clear. Hundreds of ships hovered in the forest, releasing creatures in coordinated attacks. The human and Valorian forces were vastly outnumbered. This is worse than I thought, Arlen muttered. Elias studied the enemy carefully. His instincts, sharpened by the mark, began to notice patterns. The timing of the attacks, the routes the creatures took, the weaknesses in their formations. We can do this, he said. We just need to act smart. Hit them in waves, focus on the leaders, and protect civilians at all costs. Chen nodded. I'll coordinate the energy barriers with Valorian defenses. We can funnel them into narrow paths. Celira's voice was calm but firm. Yes, and remember, Elias, the mark is not just strength. It is strategy, leadership, and courage. Trust it. Trust yourself. The humans and Valorians executed the plan. The enemy creatures were funneled into narrow valleys where energy traps and coordinated attacks slowly thinned their numbers. Elias led from the front, directing forces, intercepting the fastest creatures, and guiding civilians to safety. His movements were fluid, precise, and confident, almost like watching a master tactician in battle. Hours passed, and finally the last of the creatures were defeated or driven off. The survivors were exhausted but alive. The enemy ships had retreated, leaving the settlement in ruins, but humanity and the Valorians had endured. Elias stood atop the plateau, looking over the valley. His chest still burned faintly from the mark, but he felt stronger, sharper, and more confident. Chen joined him, placing a hand on his shoulder. You were incredible, Elias. That mark, it's real. And you're real. Elias shook his head, humbled. I don't feel incredible. I feel responsible. The mark guides me, but I still have a lot to learn. This is only the beginning. Silira approached, her robes flowing behind her. You have done well today, Elias. The mark is awakening, and so are the qualities of Kalaris within you. But remember, the enemy you faced is only a fraction of what is to come. Greater threats await. You must continue to grow, train, and understand your abilities fully. Elias nodded, determination hardening in his eyes. We will be ready, Empress. Humanity and Velora together, we will face whatever comes. Silira's eyes softened, a rare smile on her lips. Perhaps the prophecy is true. Perhaps the legacy of Kalaris lives on. And now, it lives in you. As the night fell over Arvesa, the humans and Velorians tended to survivors, rebuilt defenses, and planned for the future. The first conflict had tested them, revealed the power of the mark, and shown the importance of unity between species. Far away, in the cold darkness of space, the enemy observed through hidden sensors, calculating, adapting, and planning their next strike. They had learned that the humans were no longer ordinary. They had begun to awaken, and the marked one, Elias Kane, was growing stronger with every encounter. The galaxy was stirring, and the first signs of legend were emerging. But the battle for survival, and for destiny, was only just beginning. Elias stood beneath the twin moons looking at the stars. He did not feel like a hero yet, but he knew this. Humans were capable of extraordinary things. He had seen it, lived it, and now he would continue to prove it. Somewhere deep in the shadows, eyes glowed faintly. The enemy had noticed, and they would not rest until the marked one was defeated, or turned to their side. Elias clenched his fists, feeling the pulse of the mark on his chest. Courage, action, and determination surged within him. Whatever came next, he was ready to meet it. The legend of Kalaris had awakened, and humanity's role in the galaxy was no longer a story of the past. It was a living, breathing future. The planet of Velora had never felt so tense. From their floating city, the humans and Velorians watched the horizon. Strange energy readings flickered in the atmosphere, and the stars above seemed to pulse with anticipation. Commander Elias Kane stood at the edge of the observation deck, his chest still warm with the mark's pulsing energy. The first attacks on Arvesa had tested him, but now the real challenge was coming. Silira floated beside him, her expression serious. Elias, the enemy has gathered their forces in the Ashen Belt. It is a fortress hidden among asteroids cloaked in energy fields. They have waited, built strength, and now they move to strike. This will be the ultimate test of your abilities and leadership. Elias nodded, determination hardening his jaw. We've faced them before, Empress. We've seen their power. Now we need to end this before more worlds are lost. Be warned, Silira said. They are clever and ruthless. They will not give us an easy battle. Every move must be precise. Every decision counts, and the mark will challenge you both mind and body. You must be ready to embrace it fully. The humans prepared their fleet alongside the Velorians. Ships of every size, from sleek scouts to massive battlecruisers, gathered in formation. Engineers worked tirelessly, enhancing shields, weapons, and energy barriers. Soldiers trained relentlessly, learning to coordinate human and alien strategies. Elias moved among them, offering guidance, support, and reassurance. The mark's energy thrummed through him, giving clarity and courage beyond normal limits. Lieutenant Chen approached, her blaster at the ready. Elias, are you sure you're ready for this? He met her gaze. I don't know if anyone could be fully ready for what's coming, but I do know we have to fight together. That's how Kalaris succeeded, and that's how we'll survive. As the fleet approached the Ashen Belt, the asteroid field revealed the enemy fortress. Dark ships cloaked in shadows and bristling with strange weapons moved like a swarm. Energy shields pulsed around the central fortress, protecting it from conventional attacks. Silira's voice cut through the comms. The fortress is protected by multiple layers of defense. Direct attacks will fail. You must strike strategically, break their formations, and disable the energy fields before we can engage fully. Elias studied the enemy carefully, his instincts heightened by the mark. We'll divide into 3 groups. Chen, you and I take the central path through the asteroid field. Arlen leads the outer flanks to draw their forces. Empress, Silira, coordinate the fleet from above. We move fast, strike smart, and hit them where they're weakest. The battle began. Energy blasts streaked across the asteroid field, colliding with dark enemy shields in blinding flashes. Ships twisted and dodged among the floating rocks, narrowly avoiding collisions. Shadowy creatures emerged from the enemy vessels, boarding human and Valorian ships, attacking with speed and precision. Elias felt the mark's power surge. His movements became instinctive. He could anticipate enemy strikes before they happened. He directed ships with precise commands, intercepted boarding creatures, and protected civilians trapped on smaller transport vessels. The mark guided him, but he also realized that courage, teamwork, and trust were just as important as power. "Elias," Chen shouted. "One of their main turrets is locking onto the command ship. We need to disable it now." Without hesitation, Elias and Chen piloted their smaller attack vessel toward the turret. The structure was massive, bristling with energy weapons. Shadow creatures swarmed around it, defending it with terrifying speed. Elias felt the mark guiding his hands and mind. He dodged, leaped, and moved with precision beyond his training. Using his strength, he ripped a large energy conduit from the turret, causing it to overload and explode in a flash of light. The enemy howled in frustration, but their forces were far from defeated. More ships poured from the fortress, and more creatures swarmed across the battlefield. Celira's voice rang out. "Elias, now is the time. You must confront the leader. He awaits within the fortress. The mark will guide you, but only your courage will see you through." Elias nodded. "Understood. Chen, cover me. Arlen, keep the flanks secure." The attack vessel cut through the asteroid field at impossible speed. Sensors highlighted the fortress's weak points, energy pulses flickering where the shields were thin. Elias felt the mark guiding him, an invisible hand pointing the way. He dodged blasts, destroyed enemy drones, and navigated through the swirling debris with perfect precision. Finally, they reached the fortress entrance. Massive doors loomed before them, covered in strange symbols and energy barriers. Shadowy creatures emerged, but Elias moved with confidence. He struck, dodged, and lifted debris with incredible strength, clearing a path forward. Inside, the air was thick with energy. The leader awaited, a massive figure armored in dark alloys, eyes glowing with malice. He radiated power, intelligence, and cruelty. "You are the one with the mark," the enemy said, voice echoing through the chamber. "I sense the awakening. Kalaris's legacy. It ends here." Elias stepped forward, feeling the mark pulse violently. "Kalaris's legacy isn't yours to claim. It belongs to anyone who dares to fight for life, hope, and unity. And we, humans and Valorians, will stop you." The leader lunged, faster than thought. Elias dodged instinctively, countering with precise strikes. The mark guided him, not just giving strength but insight, showing him the enemy's patterns, predicting attacks, and revealing weaknesses. Celira's voice echoed in his mind. "Courage, strategy, focus. You are Kalaris's heir now." Elias felt a surge of clarity. Every movement was instinct, every decision precise. He leaped, struck, and maneuvered through the enemy's defenses with skill beyond normal human limits. Each strike weakened the leader. Each action inspired the surrounding allies. Humans and Valorians rallied, pushing back the enemy forces, turning the tide of the battle. The enemy leader roared in fury, sending waves of energy through the chamber. Elias felt the mark flare, shielding him from harm. He pushed forward, attacking relentlessly, his courage and determination shining. Finally, with a coordinated strike using both human ingenuity and Valorian energy manipulation, the leader was defeated. The fortress's energy shields collapsed, and the remaining enemy forces fled or surrendered. The battlefield fell silent, save for the hum of energy and the heavy breaths of the survivors. Elias stood, chest heaving, feeling the mark pulse gently as if calming after a storm. He looked around at the humans and Valorians who had fought alongside him. Their eyes were wide with awe, relief, and gratitude. Celira floated to his side, her expression a mix of pride and relief. "You have done it, Elias. You have embraced the mark, faced the enemy, and led both humans and Valorians to victory. Kalaris's spirit lives on in you, but more importantly, humanity has proven its strength, courage, and wisdom." Elias shook his head, exhausted but resolute. "It wasn't just me. Everyone fought. Humans, Valorians, together we won." Celira smiled faintly. "That is exactly what Kalaris would have done. You have honored the legacy, and now the galaxy can remember that humans are not only capable of great courage, but also great unity." As the stars shimmered above the fortress, Elias felt the weight of responsibility and the pulse of the mark. He did not feel like the legend himself yet, but he knew humanity had begun its journey into greatness. Far beyond the battlefield, hidden observers watched through sensors and probes. They had underestimated the humans and Valorians. They had witnessed the awakening of the Mark and the courage of Elias Kane. And now, a new chapter in galactic history was beginning. A chapter where humans were no longer outsiders, but heroes capable of shaping the fate of civilizations. The Mark pulsed softly on Elias's armor, a reminder that the journey was far from over. Greater challenges awaited, more enemies would rise, and the galaxy's future would continue to be shaped by those brave enough to act. Elias looked at Celira and the assembled forces. "We've won this battle," he said. "But the galaxy is larger than any one planet, and we have to be ready. Humanity and Valora together, we can face whatever comes next." Celira's eyes gleamed. "Yes, Commander. And you, Marked One, will guide them. The legend has awakened, and now it lives in all of you." The sun rose over the battlefield, casting light on the ruins, the survivors, and the victorious forces. It was a new dawn for humans and Valorians alike, a dawn of courage, unity, and hope. And somewhere beyond the stars, forces that had been dormant for centuries were stirring. They had seen what humans could do. They had seen the power of the Mark. And they would prepare for the next challenge, unaware that the galaxy was no longer defenseless. Elias felt the Mark pulse gently, a reminder of the journey still ahead. He knew this. No matter what came next, humans would face it with courage, ingenuity, and determination. The legend of Kalaris had awakened, and now humanity was writing its own story among the stars. The battle over the Ashen Belt was over, but the galaxy was far from safe. Commander Elias Kane stood on the observation deck of the Valorian flagship, staring at the stars. The pulse of the Mark on his chest was calm now, almost gentle, as if reflecting the peace that had returned, at least for a moment. The humans and Valorians had won, yet Elias knew this victory was only the beginning. Celira floated beside him, her glowing eyes scanning the fleet below. "The enemy has retreated," she said softly, "but they will return if they sense weakness. The galaxy is vast, and our work has only begun. Still, today proves that humans are capable not only of courage, but of unity with other civilizations." Elias nodded. "We've seen what we can do together. Humans, Valorians, even the Mark itself. We've proven we can face forces that once seemed impossible to defeat." Celira's gaze lingered on him. "And you, Elias, have embraced the legacy of Kalaris. You have acted with courage, wisdom, and leadership. You have reminded the galaxy that legends are not just stories. They are examples of what is possible when individuals rise to the challenge." The humans and Valorians gathered on the flagship's main deck for a meeting. Representatives of both species shared stories of bravery and sacrifice from the recent battle. Survivors spoke of Elias's leadership, of the humans and Valorians fighting side by side, and of the Mark that guided him. Lieutenant Mara Chen stepped forward, addressing the crowd. "We've seen it with our own eyes," she said. "Humans are capable of great courage, but it's our unity, our teamwork, and our willingness to stand together that makes us truly strong. Today we've started something new, something that will change the galaxy." Arlen, the engineer, added, "The technology of both humans and Valorians, combined with strategy and courage, can protect civilizations and rebuild what was destroyed. We are not just survivors. We are builders, leaders, and protectors." Elias stood silently, feeling the weight of responsibility. The Mark pulsed softly, a constant reminder of the legacy he carried. He understood now that Kalaris had not only been a hero because of strength or power, but because of vision, the ability to unite people, inspire courage, and act decisively. Celira addressed the assembly. "Humans, your actions have earned the respect of Valora. You have proven that courage, determination, and wisdom can rise from any world. You are no longer outsiders, you are allies, and perhaps in time legends in your own right." A murmur of agreement and pride rippled through the crowd. For the first time, many humans felt that the galaxy was theirs to shape, not to conquer, but to protect. They understood that legends are not inherited, but earned through actions. Later, Elias walked through the streets of Valora's capital, observing the people who had fought beside him. Children played among floating vehicles and crystal towers, their laughter echoing in the air. Adults worked tirelessly to repair damage from the enemy's attacks, but there was hope in their eyes. The city felt alive with energy, as if it knew that a new era had begun. A small group of Valorians approached him, bowing slightly. "Commander Kane," one said, "your bravery has inspired many. The mark, it is more than a symbol. It is a promise of hope. Today you reminded us that unity and courage can overcome darkness." Elias smiled, humbled. "It wasn't just me. Humans and Valorians together made this possible. The mark guided me, yes, but it is the courage of everyone here that turned the tide. We all carry the legacy in our actions." That evening, Elias returned to the archives, reflecting on the journey so far. The memory sphere pulsed gently, displaying memories of Kailaris. He placed his hands on the sphere, feeling the hero's wisdom flow into him. He saw not only battles but moments of decision, of leadership, and of humanity reaching beyond its limits. The lesson was clear. The mark was powerful, but only when combined with intelligence, courage, and unity. Power alone was not enough. True heroism was about inspiring others, protecting life, and acting wisely even in the face of fear. Scifi appeared beside him. "You understand now, Elias. The mark is not the end, but a guide. You have learned to lead, to inspire, and to act decisively. The galaxy is safer because of you, but there is always more to do. The enemy may return. New challenges may arise, but you and your people have proven that hope and courage are stronger than fear." Elias nodded. "We will continue to learn, train, and grow. Humans will not stand idle. We will be ready for whatever comes next." The Empress's eyes softened. And so a new alliance is born. Humans and Valorians, working together to explore, protect, and build. Today you have proven not only the strength of the human spirit, but its ability to inspire and unite. That is a legacy far greater than any one individual. News of the battle's outcome spread across nearby systems. Humans and Valorians were celebrated as heroes. Trade, knowledge, and culture began to flow between planets like never before. The story of Elias Kane and the Mark became a symbol of hope, a reminder that ordinary people, when guided by courage and unity, could rise to face extraordinary challenges. Elias walked on the balcony of the flagship, looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, enemies still lurked, watching, waiting, calculating. Yet he did not feel fear. He felt strength, determination, and hope. The mark pulsed gently on his chest, a steady rhythm of potential and purpose. "We've come far," he said quietly. "But this is only the beginning. Humanity will rise not through domination but through courage, unity, and wisdom. We will protect life, explore the galaxy, and ensure that legends like Kailaris live on." Scifi floated beside him, her voice calm and proud. "You speak wisely. Humanity has proven itself worthy. You carry the mark, not just as a symbol but as a promise of what is possible. The galaxy is vast, and there will always be challenges, but now, humans are no longer just participants, they are protectors, leaders, and allies." Elias looked at the stars, feeling the pulse of the mark synchronize with his own heartbeat. He thought of the journey, the first landing on Valora, the awakening of the mark, the first attacks, and the final showdown. Every challenge had tested him, but it had also revealed the strength of humans, their courage, and their capacity for unity. He turned to the Empress. "Thank you, Scifi, for guiding us, for trusting us, and for helping humanity rise to meet its destiny." Scifi smiled, a rare warmth in her glowing eyes. "The galaxy owes much to those who act with courage. And now it owes much to you, Elias Kane, and your people. The legend has awakened, and it lives not only in you but in every human willing to fight for life and hope." The days that followed were filled with rebuilding, training, and planning. Humans and Valorians worked side by side, sharing knowledge, culture, and technology. Children learned of the battles and the bravery of those who had fought, inspired to grow into their own heroes. In the quiet moments, Elias reflected on the mark. He realized that it was not a gift to be wielded lightly, nor a power to be taken for granted. It was a responsibility, a reminder that courage, action, and unity were what truly mattered. The galaxy was vast and full of danger, but Elias knew one thing for certain: humans were no longer ordinary. They had proven their strength, their courage, and their ability to rise to legend. Somewhere beyond the stars, hidden forces stirred. They had seen the humans and Valorians unite, and they had witnessed the power of the mark. They would return, but the galaxy was ready. Humans would not face them alone. They would act, lead, and inspire. Elias placed a hand on the mark, feeling its steady pulse. "We are ready," he whispered. "Humanity is ready. And together we will protect the galaxy, write our own legend, and ensure that hope never dies." Selira nodded, her robes shimmering in the starlight. "Then go, Elias Kane. Carry the legacy, lead your people, and show the galaxy what humans are capable of." The mark has awakened, and so has the future of humanity. As the twin moons of Valora rose over the city, the humans stood together with their allies, looking toward the stars. The journey was far from over, but for the first time, hope felt unshakable. Courage had awakened, unity had strengthened, and humanity had claimed its place among the stars. The legend of Calaris had ended, but the story of humans, of their bravery, ingenuity, and determination was only beginning. The galaxy had a new dawn, and in that dawn, humanity would shine,